Hello. Although nobody has yet been sent to Rwanda, uh, about 100 people have actually been told that they are being sent to Rwanda, and there are legal challenges going through the system at the moment, which is preventing anybody being boarded onto planes and being dispatched. However, they are being newly arrived migrants or refugees, whatever we want to call them. We have to be very careful, I think, not to prejudice their case in the language that we choose. But newly arrived migrants are being given papers and told that they have to explain in writing why there are good reasons why they shouldn't be deported offshore to Rwanda. People who are claiming asylum are told that if they're disabled, pregnant, if they have a serious illness, or been subject to torture, rape, or any other form of sexual violence, that this won't necessarily stop their deportation to Rwanda, but they will then be asked if it's decided that they're going to be sent to Rwanda. The British government will then ask their permission to share their medical information with Rwanda. It does seem a most extraordinary way to proceed, and as far as I can see, these documents are only being provided in English, which again is quite extraordinary. There's a person called Enver Solomon. He's the chief executive of the Refugee Council, and he says quite specifically that the government is now so determined to treat any person fleeing war or oppression, including those escaping Ukraine and Afghanistan, as a commodity to be shipped to Rwanda, that it is choosing to detain them immediately. This is appallingly cruel, he says, and will cause great human suffering. I also think it happens to be wrong. We urge the government to rethink its plans, and he proposes the idea of safe routes, which is one option. I don't think it's the only option. I don't think it's necessarily the best option, but it is an alternative to the Rwanda plan, which I think in the end will fail, and that's why it's so wrong. It's already been tried and tested by Israel, and it failed there. So there's no reason why it should succeed now. We haven't put any further safeguards in place, and we haven't made it a more effective system than the one which was trialed and abandoned by Israel. So if this is a scheme which is designed to send a message, has it sent a message? Well, no. It doesn't seem to have stopped people coming over to this country or planning to come over from France. But it is extraordinary that among the people who have been given deportation orders are a number of people who seem to have made it over to the UK, across the channel, independently of people smugglers. So the idea that this is all about deterring people smugglers is also a false story, fake news. There's an article, I think, from The Guardian, which points out that there was a person from Sudan who crossed the channel, or a group of people from Sudan who crossed the channel in a kayak without people smugglers, and that there were some Albanian asylum seekers who crossed the channel in a rowing boat, or an Afghan man who crossed the channel in a rowing boat. I'm not quite sure why the Albanians were coming over, and I'm not quite sure what they were fleeing from. But you know, there's a variety of reasons why people seek asylum. It can also be, of course, because they want to be closer to their families who are already resident here. In which case, there ought to be systems in place which allow families to be reunited. But those systems are extremely difficult to negotiate because we don't have the numbers in the Home Office. We don't have the number of civil service in the Home Office to process all the applications. That is where the money should be spent, not on some spurious Rwandan project which is doomed to failure and sends out the signal that we are morally bankrupt.